On these longer boards, we got an issue with the sun here, see? I just line these up so they're square, and if you don't have a pen or pencil handy, use a sharp edge of some kind and just go along them here, mark the end like that, and that tells me when I pre-drill these where to put the screws. Before I did this, I ended up with some screws down this section where there was no support, so the screws just sticking straight out of the board. Not exactly beneficial. So anyway, let me get back to it and I'll show you everything when it's complete. Okay, Craig here again. I do assemble this by pre-drilling these boards approximately where I want them. It's a lot easier to do this on the table. You can see I don't drill quite all the way through. What I do is I take the wood and look at it so that it's almost all the way through, is where I adjust the drill bit, and then I can drill on top of the wood here and not put any unnecessary holes in it. Then I just line everything up and put the screws in. This is the easy part. I don't have to bend for this. The hard part comes in when I do the longer pieces here. So I have to get down, squat down to put those in, and that's very, very painful. So that's what takes my time. At any rate, back to what I was talking about, comedy of errors. Should have gotten 4x4s for these ends. And then I could have put the bolts in, hex head bolts, in all of them, and I wouldn't have those gaps. I could just tighten it down. These screws just strip out if we use too much pressure on them and try and drive them into the wood when they don't want to go in. So I've had to back several out and replace them. And a couple I've had to drill new holes because they hit a knot or something. After I get these marked, you see the mark right there, I then take these boards up on the side like this and mark 2 over, because as you can see, the boards widthwise are a little bit shy, maybe a ½ inch or so of meeting this outside mark here. So that makes sure that I drill in the proper area of the longer board. And there we have it. So I'll be drilling in this area right here so that I will meet the edge of these boards here, or not the edge, but right in the center somewhere. So hopefully I won't split them. Okay, talk to you later. Another mess up is that I failed to consider the width of the boards when I made this. I have very limited space. This is basically the only place I put it. The boards are about 1½ inches wide, so I'm losing 3 inches per bed by putting it together this way, instead of having the boards, the longer boards, butt into the smaller one. Instead of meeting here like this, this one should be meeting here like this. That would give me an extra foot of space along this way, considering I'm going to have 4 beds. That's 12 inches more. and then I might have been able to get another 4x4 down there. As it is, I can only put a 2-foot by 4-foot bed in, but I'm going to do that. I've got very little space between the beds. I had originally planned on 2 feet, but I might have to drop that to something less than that to fit everything in. Of course, my wife's not happy with me because she thinks I'm not leaving enough space to get my fat rear end through here. But, you know, I'd rather suffer a little than have the garden space than be easier and not have the space. Hopefully with the raised beds I won't have to lean over as far and it won't be as painful. Anyway. One thing you should check to do this is where the screws go through. I don't know if you can see it or not, but here's a marked pre-drilled screw hole, and right here is a crack in the wood split. So obviously I don't want to put a screw through here because it just widen that. So I'm re-drilled down here somewhere. And this one, I think I got really too close to the edge here. So I'll move it back just a little bit, put another screw hole right here. There we go. Something else I think I should mention is that I'm using this extension here. It came with these little screw tips for the screws, but they kept falling back into the chuck, and there we go, kept falling back into the chuck, so I end up with no screw sticking out, no screwdriver sticking out at all. When you get the extension, that helps. I don't have to worry about that. Okay, here's an example of how anal I can be at times. I said, do not put the screw over the crack. So what do? I put the screw over the crack. Really, really bright. Okay, on my part that is. So I put another one down here, and that'll hold it good. Now I've got these complete, these two end pieces. And hard part's coming now, leaning over. But that's going to have to wait. I've got to rest a while now. Got to let the sun decline. I have issues with skin lesions, so I have to stay out of the direct sun as much as possible. I purchased these raised beds, prefab raised beds, about a year ago, and now I'm not going to be using them. I've got 2 of them. Decided to go with a redwood, so that teach me for trying to take advantage of a deal. They were on sale for a good price. I forget how much, but now it's just wasted money. Anyway, back to my plants. I did get a bare root blueberry plant. It's starting to leaf out. A bare root grape plant that's starting to come out, and a bare root blackberry. But as you can see, it's not doing a whole lot yet. Hopefully it'll start leafing out shortly. My other grape plant hasn't done anything at all. It went dormant or died, I'm not sure which. I'll leave it for a while and see what it does. I had originally planned on using 12-foot boards. Correction. I originally planned on using 10-foot boards that were 12 inches high. But Lowe's does not carry them. Home Depot doesn't carry them. So I ended up calling a local lumber yard, and they wanted $51 a board for 2 by 12 by 10. Then they wanted also a $39 delivery fee on top of delivery fee on top of that. And I decided that was just too much. So I ended up getting two by 8 by 8 for each side. So that makes that about 15 inches high, whereas a 12 by would have been approximately 11 and a quarter, something like that. 11. Lumber's always smaller than the dimensions they give you. They claim it's because the rough cut is at those dimensions, and then they plane it off to make it smooth. Seems like a lot of planing to me, but you know, who am I to not judge? Anyway, I decided on 8-foot boards because 10-foot would have put it too close to the solar panel. I plan on putting at least one more set out here and maybe 2 more. And the plants are going to shade the solar panel as it is if I'm not careful. So 2 by 8 by 8 is what it is. Things could have been better. Could have done a better job of putting it together. But all told, it's okay. It'll hold. And that's what's important. After all, it's not rocket science, just gardening. Well, I just made a nice little mistake. Intelligent person that I am, I only marked one set of boards for one side. I did not mark the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stack these one on top of the other and drill down through this top board into the bottom board, and that will give me placement for my screws. So, and I can finish drilling out the bottom board. So, that's where we stand for now. Well, there's the completed bed, for whatever it's worth. Not perfect, but it'll do. However, this wood is still green. Not kiln dried, but I guess that won't matter. I have these boards pre-cut, and as you can see, they don't all match up perfectly. But I don't have a saw to trim them down to the correct size, so just have to make do. At least the lumberyard cut them. Well, actually, Lowe's cut them for me at the lumberyard, and at least made it possible to put these together without too much trouble. And I'll set this in my garden bed, and this part will be done. Yeah, there they are, all set in place. Not exactly set perfectly yet, but dang close. Now I've got to level them, put in the irrigation, going to put down some weed block in the path and along the edges here. I'm going to leave the center open to the ground because I want the plants to actually be able to get down into the soil, the dirt, whatever it is, for the minerals. Because compost, although it has some minerals in it, it only has the minerals that the plant actually uses to make the compost. It may not have everything that's needed for garden plants. So, one step at a time. This has taken me about 2 weeks, not counting the time it took to measure out the entire yard. I measured this all out and plotted on graph paper to get the approval from the HOA. That corner, I wish I'll focus that a little better. Oh, don't need the mountain in there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a corner here. They've cut off part of the yard and the street on the other side. So, wish I had that little piece of corner there, but I don't, and I knew it when I bought the place. Anyway, that's all for now. So long.